So let's look at an example. So we have triangle ABC with A equal to 62 degrees, C is 14 feet, and B is 74 degrees, right? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and draw a triangle. Okay, so here's my triangle. Let's go ahead and label that triangle. So this is angle A, B, and C. Well, A is going to be 62 degrees. B is 74 degrees. We need to find C. And then side C, which is the side opposite angle C, is 14 feet. Okay, so what do I need? What am I given? I'm given A, which is 62 degrees, B, which is 74 degrees, and C, which is what I need to find. And in terms of my sides, okay, I need to find A. I don't know what that is. I don't know what B is, but I know what C is, and that's 14 feet. Right? So by solving a triangle, I just need all it means is I need to find the unknowns. All right. Now angle C is not too hard to find, right? If you remember, if you add up all the angles in a triangle, I get 180 degrees. So A plus B plus C is 180 degrees. Okay. Now before I go any further, remember what I said before was when you're working with triangles, leave your angles in degrees. Do not convert them to radians. All right. So I have A plus B plus C is 180 degrees, which means 62 degrees plus 74 degrees plus C is 180 degrees. Okay. Add the 62 and the 74 and I get 136 is 180. And so that tells me that C is going to be 180 degrees minus 136 degrees, which is 44 degrees. Okay. So C comes out to be 44 degrees. Now, since this is of the form is of the form ASA, all right, I can use the law of sines. So let's try and figure out law of sines. Well, what does my law of sines say? Law of sines says that sine A over A equals sine B over B equals sine C over C. Let's fill out what we know. We know that, so I have sine of 62 degrees divided by A is going to be sine of 74 degrees divided by B equals sine of 44 degrees divided by C, which is 14. Okay. So since they are all equal, I can just set this equal to that and I can solve for A. Okay. So I have sine 62 degrees over A equals sine 44 degrees over 14. Okay. Which means that A is equal to 14 times sine of 62 degrees divided by sine of 44 degrees, right? How do I solve for A here? Cross multiply, okay? So I'm going to get A times sine 44 is 14 times sine 62, and then divide by sine 44, and that's where I get here, okay? And if I do that, this gives me a value of about 17.8 feet. Okay, again, remember your calculators need to be in degree modes when you do this, and that's going to give you a value of about 17.8 feet. All right, then, so this is 17.8 feet. Well, I have sine of 74 over B is sine of 44 divided by 14. So cross multiply and I get B times sine 44 equals 14 times sine 74. Okay, and so obviously for B, I'm going to go ahead and divide by sine 44, and that gives me 14 times sine 74 degrees divided by sine of 44 degrees, and that gives me about 19.4 feet. Okay, so this comes out to about 19.4 2.4 feet. Now, if you just quickly take a glance at this data, right, if you just eyeball this data, B is the biggest angle. It's got the biggest opening. If it's got the biggest opening, it makes sense that the angle, that the side opposite that is going to be the biggest side. Also, C has the smallest opening, so the side opposite C is going to be the smallest side, right? So you can just eyeball the data and it looks like it feels correct, okay? And then that would be a solution.